Should you quit your job? Hi there, I'm Sabrina from Answer in Progress, where we make videos taking people on the journey from question to answer. In this video, we speak with a motivation expert and assess our lives in search of meaning and work-life balance. In April 2021, 4 million people in the United States quit their jobs. Millions more have changed careers or even industries in what is now being called the Great Resignation. Should we join them? To answer that question, I had to ask for some help.
My name is Richard Ryan. I'm a professor at the Institute for Positive Psychology in Sydney, Australia. And I've been a long-time researcher on human motivation and the things that, why people do what they do and what sustains them over time.
Millions of people have quit their jobs. They're calling it the Great Resignation. Why do you think people are doing that? Is there something about the pandemic?
Clearly there's multiple causes for the Great Resignation. We've certainly heard a lot of anecdotal evidence about that, and people looking for more meaning and more purpose in their workplace and something more fulfilling. And I do think the pandemic has something to do with it. After you've sat around through a period like this, you start to wonder, what's really worth it? What am I really up to with my life? Am I spending my time in the right kind of ways? And I think people asking those more existential questions that has led some people to think, I want to do this differently.
The past year saw one of the biggest increases in the consumer price index since 1982. So it's no surprise that people are seeking higher pay. And when time is money, better work-life balance is another major consideration. However, there is another somewhat surprising cause to quit that you may not have considered. Meaning. Work is one of the most common sources of meaning for adults around the world, and a search for more meaning is a major reason why people may consider a career change.
So I think when people are saying they want meaningful work, they want something where they can, they want to be investing their energy and their time because they either see a good outcome at the end of it or they enjoy that process. The kind of jobs that they would be leaving in that situation are ones where either the work has no intrinsic enjoyment for them, or they don't see it doing good for the world.
There are many ways to define meaning and meaningful work. One option is self-determination theory.
Self-determination theory has really been a broad theory about human wellness and thriving and what it is that leads people to thrive. When we try to see what are the basic ingredients that you need, and some of those of course are physical, but you also need some psychological nutriments, and that's where we came down to autonomy, competence, and relatedness, because across cultures and across all ages and across all kind of work situations, those three needs always pop out at the top. And so what we try to identify is how variations in your ability to experience autonomy, for instance at work, or relatedness at work, or competence at work, affects your wellness and your productivity and your energy and your vitality.
The theory states that all humans have three basic psychological needs: autonomy, competence, and relatedness. In the context of our work, that means that we feel like we are in control of our workday. This doesn't mean we don't need management, but rather management trusts us to do our jobs. We feel like we can actually do our job well. Our skills match our task, and we have access to training if there is any missing knowledge. And finally, we feel like we belong. Team members celebrate victories and mourn losses together without the hyper-competitiveness.
The theory is really about that, and the basic needs are the pathway.
With that knowledge in mind, I designed a framework to analyze my life and career using self-determination theory. If that sounds useful to you, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell, because this channel is all about empowering us to level up our careers. Anyway, I made this survey based off of self-determination theory. It's basically a series of questions to consider where our current job fits into our lives. So grab a pen, a loose piece of paper, or your journal, and let's walk through this together. Question 1. Who are you right now? I am Sabrina. I am 23 years old, and through a series of existential crises, I went from studying math in university to running the video production company that is making this show. I don't know how it happened either. So I guess my job is confused? No, I'm gonna say video producer. Now, the purpose of this question is to get you to reflect on your current circumstances. It'll also be a neat reference point if you keep this page for the future. Anyway, question 2. How much control do you feel you have in your day? Starting off with a tough one. I'd say on a scale of 5, I'm about a 2. Listen, I'm self-employed, and that is awesome because I can take days off and I don't need to feel guilty if I take an afternoon nap. However, there is a downside. Everything feels like it can make or break the business, which means that oftentimes the rest of my life gets put on hold to make sure that problems are solved and deadlines are met. There is an embarrassing amount of groceries in my fridge that have gone bad because I worked too long and forgot to schedule time to cook them. 2 out of 5. Question 3. How prepared do you feel for your responsibilities? Surprisingly enough, I'd say that's about a 4 out of 5. I know, I studied math, and obviously that didn't directly prepare me for video production and entrepreneurship. Luckily, there are countless resources out there, like Grow with Google workshops and Google career certificates. So despite the many gaps I had in my knowledge, I was able to fill them, and I'm pretty confident that I can do it again. Question 4. How much community do you feel with your coworkers? That is an easy 5 out of 5. And not just because I know that they're watching this video. Everybody that I've had the pleasure of working with is passionate about making learning more accessible. Whether it's about ourselves, our world, our past, our future. It is just wholesome, you know? I'd call that a community. Finally, question number 5. How much do you look forward to working? This is probably the toughest one for me if I think about it. I like my job. I like what I do. But it's just that it sometimes takes so much of me that other parts of my life lose out. Seeing friends, seeing family, exercising, maintaining a regular sleep schedule. So if I'm being totally honest, it's a 2 out of 5. Okay, let's take a look at our score. If you've been following along with me and your score is less than 15 points, I'd really encourage you to look at your lowest scoring answers and try and understand what that means for your relationship with your work. That's because these questions tie to our basic psychological needs: autonomy, preparedness, relatedness, and work-life balance. Let's see here. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Oof. Just looking at all of my answers, I can see that I can do my job and I like who I do it with. However, I'm really lacking in terms of autonomy and work-life balance. It's that joke of I traded my 9 to 5 for the 24/7 of self-employment. So, does that mean I have to quit my job?
You know, I guess I'm not a great person to speak on work-life balance. I'm not sure I've ever achieved that. When I think things are out of balance, that usually it means that I'm being driven to do things I'm not wanting to do. Something's awry in my autonomy. Diagnosing that situation, figuring out what it is that's impinging on your need satisfaction, and then either changing it within the workplace that you are or moving on.
So, should you quit your job? That is a difficult question, and it can depend on anything from finances to family. However, I hope that this self-determination survey helps you better understand what you like about your work and what you might want to change or fix in this job or the next. If you feel unprepared, check out Grow with Google's website. It is loaded with a bunch of tools and resources to learn new skills. If you lack community, ask your coworkers out to lunch. Allies are out there, even if they might be tough to find. Finally, if you're anything like me and you have no semblance of work-life balance, I think it's time that we accept that it's about acknowledging our limits, drawing boundaries, and sticking to them. Yes, you might lose out on some things, but you're gonna gain in others. That is what balance is all about. And it might help the both of us from burning out of a job we really love. Good luck. Whether you are totally happy with your current job or you're looking for a new one, be sure to catch the rest of this series where we're talking about making the most of your career capital, skill building, and making time to learn. Subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss it. But while you wait, check out Grow with Google's website to grow your skills, career, and business. Thanks for watching.